Hello, everybody. Yep. Oh, blimey. Thanks for tuning in for a live top 10. See if I can get the camera in a better position. Now, that's probably a little bit better there. Get Fizz Kig and Dice Panda in the background. But, yeah, thanks for tuning in for top 10 anticipated games 2024. Hello to John Vega and Dash for being here today, as well as the other 16 odd of you that haven't commented yet. Whew, I didn't know how many people were going to turn up for this, because A, it's a Saturday, B, we've only just started March, and C, Dune Part 2 has just come out, which I suspect a lot of people are probably spending their Saturday nights watching, which, not gonna lie, even though the first one bored me to tears, for the sake of £5, which is the cheap Odeon tickets we have locally, I did buy myself a ticket. I'm going to go watch it after this stream. So maybe the story will improve for me or something by watching part 2. I don't know. But yeah, I was not exactly the best fan of part 1. But I don't like having a story half finished. So even if I wasn't a fan of the first half, I want to see where it goes, you know, whether it wraps up in a good way, that kind of thing. Maybe it'll give me some context. So by all means, as other people are no doubt going to see Dune at some point later, if not already in the UK, I figured, well, I'm just going to do my own. So yeah, so this is my top 10 anticipated games of 24, so I'm doing this a bit late. Normally I'd do this back in January, but I had the top 100 to do, but not a lot of games get released in January or February, so I figured I could wait a little while before I got stuck into it. And not many games have come out in this period, and let's just be honest, it's not been the best start of the year, has it? You know, let's be truly honest with ourselves. Because what games have I rated so far here? Let's see, starting with the start of the year, so that have been released. Raising Robots was not this year, that was last year. So we've got Imperium Horizons. Technically, that's an expansion, so that doesn't really count. We've got Age of Rome. That technically I think was Essen, but I gave it a reasonable rating, but nothing major. Mythwind, that recently fulfilled to people. I gave it an average rating of 5. It was okay, nothing amazing, but that wasn't exactly a belter. We've had Wormspan, but then Wormspan's probably the best thing that's come out this year so far, but even then it's just basically a clone of Wingspan with extra steps, so it's not exactly like the big new thing. And yeah, nothing else this year has really caught my eye, or been like, nothing else this last couple of months has caught my eye. Obviously, we've got the rest of the year to look forward to, and yes, there are certainly some good things to look forward to on that. But I did have a look and thought, you know what, I'm going to find 10 games that throughout this year I am looking forward to, genuinely looking forward to. Because after all, top 10 means best of, anticipated means looking forward to. So for all you naysayers who think that there's a negative connotation for that, I mean, I got told recently I was being negative when I said, I hope you love a game. And it's like, hang on, that's a bit weird. But it seems that on the internet, you've got to be so careful about how you word a sentence because you literally will get picked apart for it. But yeah, for people who don't believe I can do a positive list, well, here's a positive list for you, okay? 10 games that I am genuinely thinking will be pretty decent. No real criteria for this. I just decided to browse BGG, typed in 2024, thought about what Kickstarters are coming out later this year. I've excluded expansions. Expansions do not count, so yeah, Deep Rock Galactic expansion, Sentinels expansion, various other game expansions that I'm sure I'm going to love, they don't count. This is 10 new games, and I only have so much information on each one. I mean, half of the information I've got is pretty much Board Game Geek and what it has, so this won't exactly be the most descriptive of top 10s that we've done, but once I'm done, because I'm not seeing Dune until 8 o'clock, so I've got a bit of time. I will basically lead on to people in the chat, and you can suggest games that I should give a look. And then we'll have a look on BGG, we'll look at them together, or have a read through of the blurb, and see whether it actually takes my fancy. But certainly there are some games that people are going Google Gaga for later this year that I'm like, not that fussed. So, not going to have it there. Hello to Joachim. Hello to Phoenix. Hello to Bart. Thank you for joining. And Dash as well, who's already been here. So, by all means, hope you enjoy. Hope everybody else enjoys. And hopefully we'll get some more people later. If not, just watch it after the live stream. Perfectly fine with that. So, yeah, you know the drill, people.
Get on with it. Yes, get on with it.
Okay, so my number 10 is a small little Euro, and I don't have a huge amount of information on this one. And mainly the whole idea of like looking forward to this one was mainly just the look of the game, really. I like Civilization games, and this can be a Civilization from a light touch or a heavy Civilization game. This one is a very light game. It's meant to be reasonably quick, and this one's called Rise and Fall. Rise and Fall is this tiny little game. It's from a publisher I'm not that well aware of, Ludicali. I'm not sure what they've done really. Designer, a fairly new designer to me as well. And so this one is kind of like whatever. I think it had a Kickstarter or a GameFound project, but I never really looked at it. Really, what caught my attention was the map. This game basically has you building units and utilizing them across a map. And I like games where they give you like a kind of like a 3D look to the map. So here, they've set it up, and you've got the water, you've got the plains, you've got the forest, and every scenario you're going to have this 3D landscape full of the different tiles, and it's kind of like you're racing to achieve certain objectives from what I gather. So the blurb that we've got here, let's have a look. Come on, bring it back. So, a full control strategic game. Each player controls a civilization trying to expand and progress in a fantasy world. Yeah, whatever. The fantasy world doesn't mean a thing to me. Unique landscapes, which I do like. You start off with a village, a citizen, and a ship, and then you grow with all these different units like temples, merchants, highlanders, and all sorts of things. And basically, it's meant to be easy to understand. No luck or randomness involved, so that's a plus, something that doesn't have luck of the draw. You create the map, which is already fun in itself, and should be relatively easy access with a small learning curve. I mean, it only says 40 to 80 minutes here, 2 to 4 players, probably best at 4. It's got some stuff going for it, but, will it be as good as it looks? I don't know, but, I like these little pieces, Screenprint and Meeple, so this looks pretty good, and it kind of gives me that same feeling that Cooper Island did, the big Euro game, where you created the 3D landscape and you got to mess around with it. Really, I think it's just going to come down to the mechanics themselves. So once you've created this map, how do these units work? What are the, how do the cards work that you use to get points in that? If all of that comes together well, this could be just a nice small light game with a cool look to it. Hopefully it doesn't take a million years to set up the game though. That's kind of what I'm a little bit worried about. If it takes a million years to set up the game, that could put it off from a sort of 40 to 80 minute thing, but we'll see how it goes from there. What have we got in terms of comments since then? Oh, sorry about that. I'm going to just take a drink for a minute. Kid you not, I've got homemade like decaf coffee in here. And just in case I run out of that, I actually have... Whoa, ow, hot. I've actually got a cafetiere of more coffee just in case I need it. It's decaf, so it's not going to send me on a high. But is it cafetiere or cafetiere? I don't know how you pronounce the name of these things. It's kind of ridiculous. Hello to Horde of the Board. Thank you. Is there anybody else has turned up? Board Game Queens. Hello to you. Oh, hello. Yeah. Oh, Christy Bullinger. Yes. Okay. Interesting. Too much downtime. Is that a thing with Rise and Fall? Well, I mean, if it is too much downtime, that could be a hindrance, but then this is my number 10, and I have to admit, I was actually struggling to get a 9 and 10 for this list, so, my top 8 are certainly a bit more interesting to say the least, but you got excited about the designer. Let's have a look at the designer. So what else has Christophe done? Here we go. Game designer and game collector from France. Oh, Dungeon Twister, Earth Reborn, and Archipelago. Oh, okay. I mean, I have not played Dungeon Twister. I wasn't a big fan of Earth Reborn. I hear that was... Earth Reborn, I think I remember being quite a dud. But I have played Archipelago. Archipelago is a neat little game. I don't play it very often, but yeah, that is something quite different. It's certainly he's got some previous dealings with these map-based Civ-like games. I guess the question is, how easy is this game going to be? I mean, some people, Stone. Oh, you demoed it, did you? Demoed it at UKG 2023. Downtime could be an issue. All right, well, we'll see about that actually, because that does worry me. But yeah, we're just basically gonna have to see. Hello to you, Gary, and hello to you, JT. Right, well, without further ado, we'll move on to number 9. So my number 9 is a game that was higher on the list originally. I thought like, okay, this one I'm looking forward to because I like the publisher and I like the look of this game. Like the look is just gorgeous. But I have seen a little bit of footage on this recently, and I have noticed a few like clickbait style videos coming out for it. And that always worries me because I don't like clickbait. Period. I don't like it when it's used in videos and on thumbnails where people sort of go, this is amazing, or this is so brilliant, it's going to be the best of the year or something. And every time I see that, I usually get the indication that it's like, are you just saying that to get a free copy or so? Or are you just saying that because you want views? I don't know. So that's already put me off a bit. But also from the gameplay stuff I've seen, this one just seems like it's a little bit too complicated for how it looks. And this one is Flow from, I think, Pika Studios. So this one certainly has the looks, and that's what got my attention up front. I thought like, ooh, okay, this looks absolutely gorgeous. I mean, this cover is beautiful. Just take a look at that. That is a cover for a board game if ever I saw one. And certainly all the pieces looked really cool. The artwork looks beautiful. I mean, that's a really cool looking player board. And all this stuff looks nice visually. And that's really what got my attention. I mean, this is kind of what was set up at Essen. And it just looks gorgeous on the table. But I'll get onto the bit that worried me a little bit and why this one's fallen down the list, because I think this was around 5 or 6 before. It's now dropped to 9. But this is an adventure strategy game where players will embark on heroic quests across an icy landscape. You'll discover long-lost secrets on icebergs, sail the seas to find adventures. So I was like, okay, so this is going to give me a feel of maybe some of the stuff that Red Raven has done, Ryan Lockett style feeling. You always have a loyal familiar that can help gather resources or jump into the fray of battle. You'll gain allies, abilities, rare items, build shrines. Okay, this sounds pretty cool. It's going to be like maybe it's going to give me a feeling of sort of like near and far. But there are 1 or 2 things I'm a little worried about here. Additionally, after each game, players will unlock Flowstone stickers they use to track the village progress, and they can open envelopes and unlock new gameplay experiences. I don't want this to be a campaign game or a legacy game. I want this to be a standalone thing. So if this is just going to be something that, as you play the game, you'll just add more stuff to the map, then fair enough. But I don't want something that's going to force me to have to play this with the same kind of the group all the time. That's what does sort of worry. And the other thing that does worry me, and Horde of the Board, I think, is just has just hit on the nail here. This doesn't look like, actually, maybe it was the Ryzen 4 you were looking about that. Here we go. Everyone seems to be reviewing this, but the setup looks like it will be a bear. Yeah, the setup does look pretty long about this one. And I know Paul at Gaming Rules has done a playthrough. I mean, I've actually watched part of it, so that's where I've got some of my idea from it. But what I'm kind of concerned with is this going to be too complicated for how it looks and feels? Because this looks very cutesy. It looks very like, oh yeah, this is going to be quite light. It's going to appeal to a lot of people just because it's visually gorgeous and stuff. But is it going to be too complicated? Because the playthroughs made it seem like it was a bit like there were too many rules and too much going on for what doesn't appear to be a game that warrants it. And I don't want this to be an overly complicated game. I mean, Pika Studios is kind of side by side with Fantasia games, and Fantasia games already do complex stuff. They do some more complicated Euros. I want Pika to be the one that's more introductory level, maybe a bit more lighter fare. And if this one's just going to be the equivalent of when Mindclash said they were going to do simplistic games, and it still ended up being, they thought September will be a much lighter game, and September's still a bit of a ball to learn and play and stuff. So that's what just kind of works, Is it going to be, should it be a family-friendly game? It certainly looks it. I mean, Horde says that, and I kind of agree. This has the look of a family-friendly game, but if it's got the complexity of a big die-hard Euro, that's a little bit off-putting. But, Pika Studios have done some nice stuff. I've still got Sweet Mess on my shelf behind me, and so I've got, faith that they were going to do a good job, or at least a half-decent job, and it does look the business. 60 to 90 minutes, I mean, I never really believe the play times that they put on these things, so we'll see. 1 to 4 players, so I can play it solo. Johnny Pack does some good stuff, so, I've got reason to be hopeful about this one. But yeah, if I wasn't struggling to find 10 games for this might have dropped off because of the recent footage I have seen about it. It's just, You know, if the setup is going to be a massive drag and it's going to be too complicated for its own good, it's going to spoil a lot of things. Phoenix has gone, yeah, mixed signals look light and family friendly, but could be too rules heavy and setup drag. Those two things are going to be killers. I mean, I like complicated games. I got like Lacerda's behind my head, but this doesn't look like a game that should be rules heavy. And if it is, and it's going to take me a million years to set up, you're going to kill my enjoyment. Kim says, the unlocking and flow seems like it's more along the lines of Revive. You unlock new rules and mechanics, but all the reviews out there are with all rules unlocked. Okay, so, alright, that sounds... Yeah, Revive had that stupid little mini campaign thing. It was completely pointless. You know, it was basically, oh, you don't want to put every single rule into Revive? Well, then you can learn it in these five games and you learn a tiny rule each time. It was so stupid. Everybody just played with all the rules. So I don't have an intention of doing that with this game. And honestly, if the game warrants that kind of thing, like 5 games to learn a few rules, then again, that's just saying that this game is too complicated for what it should be. Getting strong, what have we got? Getting strong Charterstone vibes off this. So yeah, Charterstone was not a good game, so I certainly don't want it to be like a Charterstone. Why is there such an obsession with positivity of people living in the dream world? I'm all up for positivity. Positivity's fine if it's warranted and if it's not all the time. But I have seen videos for this where the titles and that are just complete clickbait. And, you know, I don't want that. I don't, you know, previews for Kickstarters are, you know, Kickstarters are expensive. This is not going to be a cheap game. And so if this is why I don't like doing Kickstarter previews, because I don't want to say to people, this is going to be amazing, pay money, cha-ching, shut up and give me my money. No, this is why I review games when they come out, ideally, because then I can, you know, I can recommend if it's worth purchasing at the time and I haven't made you gamble on your money. So, you know, there is that aspect. And hello, Steven. Yep, one of my many fans there. So by all means, hope you enjoy the show. So yeah, Flow, I'm still hopeful, but I am going to be doing it with fingers crossed, and it does concern me a bit. So this one has fallen. I don't know, we'll wait for Pika Studios to answer this one. Okay, for my number 8, this game is already going to be winning awards for being the most gorgeous game out there. And you've just seen Pika Studios and Andrew Bosley's artwork. So what possible game can be like more gorgeous than this? Well, there is a certain other artist out there called Vincent Dutray, and Vincent Dutray is a machine. He comes up with all sorts of artwork and he's just never ending. But you know, whenever he does a game, it does, you know, look gorgeous. This is a sequel to well, technically it's a 2 to 4 player game, but honestly, you play it solo or 2 player. But it was a small card game that I've touted the praises of in my top 10 nature-themed games list. It was, you know, done by Tim Eisner. Weird City Games, I believe the publisher is. Not a lot of people have played it, but it's a really solid card game. Canopy Evergreen is the sequel to this one. And Canopy was a small card game that I've actually been saying a lot of good things about. It's a really solid first or second, you know, solo or 2 player game. So with that in mind and already on my shelf, when I found out there was a sequel to this, Canopy Evergreen, that already got my attention. And I mean, we can argue about whose artwork's better. I mean, Andrew Bosley does do fantastic artwork. I'm not going to diss it. And honestly, comparing him to Vincent Dutray is literally just a comparison of styles and what kind of themes you like. I mean, I like anything that's nature themed when it's done like this. But I mean, God blimey, look at these cards. These cards look so gorgeous, don't they? Oh my word, they look so good. But I'm hoping that this will basically do the same kind of thing that Canopy did, just with, you know, a few extra rules thrown in place. Like maybe this is the step up above Canopy if I want a full-fledged game. But everything in here, I mean, everything in here already looks gorgeous. You know, we're going to get these little tokens for the animals. That's going to look really nice. Oh, apparently you can play it on, I don't want to play anything on Tabletopia. Tabletopia's interface is one of the worst interfaces I've ever seen. It's like the people who made Tabletopia know nothing about user interfaces. They've just played a few games and God, I hate it. Tabletop Simulator for the win. But to explain a little bit about Canopy Evergreen, so it definitely has some similarity in rules here. You take turns selecting new cards for the forest from free growth piles. Every time you look at a pile, you select it and add those cards to your rainforest tableau, or you return the pile face down and add an additional card to it. So it's the same mechanic that was in Canopy, and it's the idea that you look at all this stuff and think, it's got a mixture of good and a mixture of bad stuff there, but you know what, I do kind of like this good stuff. Nah, I won't. And then you make the pile potentially more lucrative for other players. You look at the next one and make the same kind of decision. So this one is repeated, but you're looking for plant and animal cards that will benefit you most. And, you know, there are certain dangers like disease and fire and drought. So this definitely has pretty much the same rules as before. And it does say re-implements Canopy. So if anything, this is probably just saying, right, well, this card game was good. I now want to improve on it with this version. It says it's a standalone game though, features the card drafting and set collection similar to the original Canopy game, but with new rules for collecting food, growing trees on your forest board to gain permanent bonuses, and nourishing interactive wildlife. So, okay, so there are some differences. This isn't just going to be a carbon copy of the game with a couple of tweaks, hopefully, but you know, Canopy is already a really good game. I highly recommend it as a card game. Check out my top 10 nature-themed games list for that. In fact, I might have even put it on my top 10 card games list or top 10 filler games list. I might have done it on one of those. But yeah, I've talked about it a couple of times. And, you know, it certainly does have some pretty good stuff. Okay, this cover does look great. Yes, it does. That cover does look amazing. I mean, let me get it back on the screen here. Oh, man. Go on, load up. Oh man, look at that. I want that on my wall. I want every, well, except for the tarantula card in Canopy. I don't want that on my wall, but I certainly would like all the rest. Does the art match the theme feel? That's the main gripe with Wingspan. Beautiful art, but the gameplay doesn't match the art. I guess you might have a similar problem with Canopy, because I mean, the theme is kind of there, but you know, you certainly don't want fire and disease. They will kill plants and stuff. You know, how each card gives you points in that is probably going to be mostly mechanical, but you do get into the theme of it just because it looks so gorgeous on the table, and you are growing trees because you can grow a tree as high as you like and then cap it off and it will be worth points. So you do have cards that actually show the tree growing, which is quite cool. But I don't know, maybe you might have a similar feel on there. Was there an earlier game in this, and should I buy both, or is it like Wormspan, Wingspan? I'm going to suggest Canopy is, if you can get Canopy really cheap, then give it a shot. But I would say that if this does come out in 2024, you can wait. Wait for this one to come out because it's going to have most of the same rules, but with some added bits. And it will probably have some development tweaks as well, because I'm sure he's taken feedback from Canopy and put them into this game to re-implement it and improve it. So if you find Canopy cheap and a brilliant buy, I'd say grab it, but you can wait for Evergreen, I think. You know, I'm certainly going to do. Sounds boring. Stop it. Not boring. Cheeky face, you, Martin. Hello, how are you doing? What's that? The eagle is definitely going for the bear. I guess. I mean, who would actually win a fight, actually? A great eagle versus a bear. The eagle's got more mobility, but this is a bear. So I'm curious, actually, who would win this fight. But not that I would want to see it in real life, but I guess, yeah, perhaps he is. Wingspan is a good game, but too light. Never played Canopy, doubt my group would get a look. Forest Shuffle has dominated our like-to-play games. Yeah, I did a review on Forest Shuffle. It's a half-decent game, if only it didn't drag on for so long at multiplayer, and if only the cards were balanced. You know, maybe the expansion will fix the game, I don't know. I'm curious to see, actually. I've sold the game already, but if they bring the expansion on the Board Game Arena, I might play Forest Shuffle again on there and see if the expansion fixes it. But Wingspan, I mean, I like the fact that Wingspan is light. The fact that it's light is great. People are like, oh, Wormspan is now heavier, therefore we love it. And it's like, yeah, but it's boring dragons. The theme makes even less sense in that one. It's more fiddly. The graphic design and artwork takes a downturn. I mean, I've reviewed Wormspan and I gave it a good review. I've endorsed it. It's got a seal of endorsement from me. But yeah, Wingspan with expansions, especially Oceania, just is the better. It's the king. Okay. No, it's not like photosynthesis. Photosynthesis is a very different game, very much more abstracted. I know what you mean about the tree growing thing, but no, it's not quite like that. I'm mainly interested because of the bear. Bears are cool. They are one of my favorite animals, so gotta love it. What do we got there? boyfriend loves nature, so this will be up his alley. To be fair, I love nature games as well. I mean, I got to admit, nature has a work. I mean, what are they? Ark Nova, Earth, Canopy, Atawa. I think other nature-themed games. Oh god, there's definitely more than that. Why? Oh yeah, Wingspan for a kickoff. Just as soon as you put nature on it, Mystic Vale even. I mean, that's got a kind of naturist theme down there. Yeah, you put Living Forest. Oh, that's a good one there. So yeah, nature really. Oh, Cascadia, yes. Well done, Phoenix. Thanks you for reminding me of that one. So yeah, yeah. Oh, what's that? The fight is barely interesting. Dad jokes. Trust me, if there was a certain other person watching this video, then yeah, the dad jokes would be flowing. Anyway, I think I've spent long enough on this one. So Canopy Evergreen. Could be just more of the same, but if it's improved, I'll take it. But by all means, give it a look-see. Right, move on to 7. Okay, oh yeah, Dash mentions Everdell. Yeah, okay, fair enough. So, you know, Everdell's a very good example. So, yeah, Everdell's nature fiend. I mean, Everdell, mechanically, I'm not as big a fan of, but well, it's okay. I just don't love it. The expansions bloated it and actually didn't make it any better. But, yeah, it's definitely got that one. No, I am not pining for trading in the Mediterranean-themed games. We are done with that shtick. All right, we are done. Anyway, my number 7 is it's a re-implementation again. So, I mean, like I say, I was trying to find 10 games I liked. If re-implementations are the way, then they are the way. But I never played the original one of this. The original one of this came out from who's the it's from Snowdale Design and the designer Sami Laxo, and there is a deck builder that they've done that I really, really love. You know, I really love this deck builder. I never played a game called Dawn of the Peacemakers. I heard it was like a little bit meh in terms of its abilities and had some problems, although Mike Delisio from the Dice Tower really liked it. So, you know, there was that. But this re-implementation of it called Peacemakers, Horrors of War, I am actually looking forward to trying this. You know, I like a lot of stuff that they've done lately. I mean, I love Dale of Merchants. That's the deck builder I'm talking about. But I also really like Lands of Galzir. So Lands of Galzir was another solid game from them, using this style of artwork, using this setting with the anthropomorphic animals of different folk, and yeah, so to bring out another to re-implement one of their older games and make it better certainly does get my interest. I love the artwork for this guy. I mean, this cover is a little hit and miss, I think, compared to other fare, but you know, I do like the sound of this. Now, the interesting thing about here is that this one's a cooperative game. I can't remember if the previous game was cooperative or not, but I like a good cooperative game. So that's already a bit of a factor for me here. But the idea with this Peacemakers one is that you basically got these warring factions and you're trying to do everything to stop them fighting, which is very different from the themes of a lot of other games. I mean, before I look at more pictures, I'll just explain like some of the bits here. So, a thematic board game where you cooperate and attempt to bring peace. You are an adventurer seeking to stop conflicts between a colourful cast of animal folk nations who all have grievances with one another. All 6 scenarios in the game are designed to provide a different challenge, can be played with up to 4 players or solo, and you can play the scenarios in any order with different players no matter what you do. And it re-implemented Dawn of Peacemakers from 2018. So we got a stronger emphasis on theme, more unique strengths, faster setup, always good, streamlined rules, always good, and individual scenarios, again, and instead of a campaign, also good. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff that this thing's got going for it, but yeah, I just think this world, this animal folk world, is just such a pleasant place to be. It just fits like, you know, really nice, and you know, it's really very quaint, very pleasant. You know, the artwork will suit this as well. Now, I don't know what this game's going to be like mechanically. You know, this game could be a dud mechanically, it could be amazing mechanically. Looks like they're using the spiral bound book thing to do the maps, so that would be good for scenarios. So I'm kind of basing this a lot on the fact that I like Dale of Merchants, I like Lands of Galzir, and I've got faith in this designer and, you know, his own publishing company, Snowdale Designs. You know, I never played the original, but I wanted to try it. I just never saw a copy of it. So if this is going to evolve it and make it better, then by all means, sign me up. You know, I just love looking at these pictures. These pictures of these animal folk just sell it to me. I mean, play Dale of Merchants. It's a really good deck builder. Just grab one of the small sets if you don't want the big set. But Yeah, this one kind of gives me a kind of cooperative near and far style feeling as well, actually. Certainly getting that kind of vibe from it. In fact, actually, didn't somebody have a question about near and far earlier that I missed? Hang on, let's have a look. Near and far, near and far. I could have sworn there was something about... oh yeah, what did I think of near and far? Near and far I do like. It's good. You want to play it campaign mode, though, or the mini-campaign, not necessarily the fast mode. The only thing is I have not played Near and Far in a while, because I think once you've played the campaigns, there's a limited replay value to it. That being said, the mini-campaign is 3 or 4 games, and the big campaign, I think, is between 10 to 12, so you're going to get a decent bang for your buck, but yeah, I haven't necessarily played it that much after that fact. So what have we got here? Oh yeah, Meadow. Meadow's a good one. For the previous one we were talking about. Thank you, Arno, for that one. Yeah, Meadow on my shelf in the other room. Again, nature themed. What have we got here? Not gonna reveal that comment for reasons. Dawn of Peacemakers. It's no root. It's no root from Anthony. That's probably a good thing, to be honest, because root, as much as I give respect to the game, is too complicated, it's too fiddly, and the fact that you've got to teach 4 separate games to play a 4-player game with someone is too much. These asymmetric role games, for the most part, are a hit and miss affair. And honestly, I would not want to teach root. I would just give everybody a $5 and tell them to play the app. The app is so much better. Not crazy about co-ops, still like Pandemic and Flashpoint, both very good games, particularly Flashpoint, but a group has moved up. Why do people hate co-ops? I really love a good co-op. Co-ops they're fun, they're interesting, they promote player interaction, co-ops are just good fun. I mean, come on, my top 10 of all time, and when would we have? 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 co-ops in my top 10? I mean, I do love a good co-op game. What else we got here? Dawn of Peacemakers allowed you to play competitively too, make peace or war. Okay, interesting. This one's definitely, I think, going down the full co-op route, and to be honest, I'm kind of cool with that, because when games do this whole, you can play it competitively or cooperatively or different modes, you just know that they haven't play tested all those modes fully enough. Like, you're gonna try and please everybody, and in the end, please no one. Big eye animals creep me out. That picture, I must admit, did look a little bit weird with the big eyes, but they don't normally have such big eyes. What do we got? Spirit Island. Spirit Island again. Nature themed. It works. What's no root? Oh, he's talking about the game root. Okay. Co-ops are tricky to keep interesting, but Spirit Island is perfectly interesting. That's a co-op. What's wrong with that one? Spirit Island and Sentinels, from my recommendations, I love. Good. Glad someone's listening. What do we got there? That's relevant for... Oh, yeah. Hegemony, one of those games where you have asymmetric roles. So, wasn't terrible to teach, just have people truly interested in learning. Take a bit to learn, but once you understand, you get the game. Granted, yeah, it is a bit like that, but it's still a bit of a chore to teach. I mean, I love Hegemony, but when I play Hegemony, I ideally want people who know the game. But we'll see. But yeah, people just don't seem to like co-ops, and I'm like, why? Why don't you like a good co-op? Co-ops are good. I love them. But oh well, to each their own. I mean, some people want to play bland Latin-named games about building a church, but done by Stefan Feld or something. I want a good thematic co-op game. So, different strokes for different folks. All right, let's get on to number 6. Number 6 is the biggest gamble on this list. I mean, if you thought Flow was a gamble, oh my god, this is a gamble. I should love this game, but it's been in semi-development hell for a while, because this is a Kickstarter that I backed probably a good 2 years ago now. I think it's supposedly going to fulfill in the summer of this year. I'm going to give probably a bet that it's going to be on to autumn. Just please don't drag into 2025, because I'm already waiting for this. Funny enough, I'm actually back playing the computer game that this game is based on a lot lately. In fact, I haven't had much sleep lately because I've been playing that computer game far too much. We're going to play a big day session of it with mates on Good Friday. It's going to be quite fun. But this one is done by Academy Games, and it is based off a Paradox Interactive, I think it's called, or Parallax Interactive, it's something like that. Big maker of huge strategy games, which is Stellaris. Now, Stellaris is a computer game which I, have quite a lot of fondness for. As I said, I've been playing it a lot lately because, well, the mates have got back into it, so we decided to come back into it with recent patches and stuff. And I wanted to, naturally, when this got first announced on Kickstarter, we were playing it quite a bit. Hang on, let me just get the picture to excite. Come on. Is that better? Yeah, there we go. We got a picture. So with this one, the game Stellaris on the computer system, on Steam, on the PC, is great fun. I really enjoy this. You take control of an alien race. You configure them. You choose their look, their voice, their names, their planet of origin. Their starting civics, their government, and all that kind of stuff. And then you go through and you do a great 4X experience. You explore the galaxy, colonize planets, fight other races, maybe negotiate with them, do diplomacy. It does so much. I really do enjoy the computer game. So naturally, I was keen to see a board game of this. Now, normally I'd be a little bit hesitant because video game ports have recently got better, but they haven't always been. But the main thing that got me into this one was the publisher, Academy Games. This has been a bit delayed in Kickstarter, but Academy Games has got good pedigree when it comes to doing strategy games with theme. Because if you look at Academy Games, they have done things like 1775 Rebellion, 878 Vikings, Freedom the Underground Railroad, a very solid game that really does the theme justice. Conflict of Heroes, I wasn't a big fan of Mare Nostrum, but you can see that they've done a lot of historical themed big epic style games respecting the theme. So for them to do a sci-fi game is maybe a little bit outside their comfort zone, but I have faith that this publisher can pull it off and do respect to the license. So I'm just hoping that they do, but it has been in Kickstarter development hell for a while, and I'm just like, will you hurry up and bring this game out? The last time a game like this happened, I think Burning Suns it was called, it got delayed for ages. When it came out, I couldn't have cared less about the game at that point. I don't want that to happen to Stellaris. I want this to be a solid game when it comes out. Now, this is all just pre-production components, so it looks a bit bland at the moment, but, if it's going to give me the feel of the computer game where I get to take these different factions, go across space, do stuff with other races, economy, combat, whatever I want, then it could be really solid for me. And yeah, as Edmund says, there's still no rule book, which worries me as well. So it is a big gamble, and that is why this is not higher on the list. But a 4X board game based on the hit video game, everything you do in Stellaris, and supposedly a 2-hour board game with up to 4 players, 6 with the Empire's expansion. There's not a lot of detail on the game, which is what worries me. But I'm still excited for it, and I still kind of hope that it will be pretty sweet. What else have we got to say on this one? It looks cool. Yeah, it does look pretty sweet. Twilight Imperium-esque. It could be, but I think this is going to be similar to more of those like ancient history civilization games, but more set in space, so we'll see. I'm always worried when video games get turned on the board games. Resident Evil looked way dark. That disappointed me. It did not look good. Yeah, Resident Evil wasn't that good a title, but I mean, XCOM was solid. Deep Rock Galactic that I reviewed in December, fantastic port. This War of Mine, Frostpunk, they've been really good. Even Doom from Fantasy Flight was a pretty solid one of the new Doom games. So I'm all down for video games turning into board games because I think there's some great titles there you could do, and there's more on the horizon. I mean, we've got Stalker, we've got Last of Us, I think, is getting a board game, so I'm down for seeing where these go. When are we getting this? The last update I heard was, I think, June, July. I'm going to bet money it's going to be August, September. This is Kickstarter after all, but they have said this year, so fingers crossed. Video games turned to board games seem to be a toss-up. If it's good, it needs to be a good board game, not just theme or hype based on a different medium. You're totally right. Can't exactly fault that logic there. And not every board game of a video game port has done well. There have been some duds. I mean, the Skyrim adventure board game was... I was generous when I gave that game a 5 out of 10. But I don't think the game's average. I think the game is actually bad. I should have given that like a 3 out of 10. It really isn't any good. Fallout from Fantasy Flight wasn't particularly great. What else has come out? That was pretty bad for a video game port. Mega Man. Do you remember Mega Man? Mega Man, was it that studio who always puts out bad games, Django Studios or something, something beginning with J. But yeah, Mega Man was like one of the lowest rated games on Board Game Geek. I mean, it was just garbage. So we'll see. If you didn't like their 4X, why would you like Stellars? I like 4X games. I like Stellaris. I don't quite know what you mean on there. Yeah, what's that? I don't get the aversion to co-op games either, however, being able to get my more competitive gamer friends interested in them using the Horrified games. I've still not actually played Horrified, actually. I really need to add that to my one to play list. Sniper Elite. That's another one on my shelf. Yeah, that was a good one. That was a good solid port. So, yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to it, but you know, I do get that this is a gamble. It's the biggest gamble on this list. We'll just have to see how it goes, and don't let me down, Academy Games. Don't let me down. Right. Mara Nostrum was a Civ 4X. Yeah, but Mara Nostrum just had some, I don't know, there was some balance issues like hell in that game. I mean, certain factions were way too powerful and the mechanics weren't as solid as I would like. Loved the theme of it, although to be honest, I think in Mara Nostrum the theme was a bit more abstracted than most. So, that one just didn't work for me. Compare it to something like this War of Mine. Oh, blimey, this War of Mine and Frostpunk, you want thematic games, you get those two. Anyway, we're talking about my number 5 here. So number 5, this is a big, heavy Euro game, and I think at the moment, most people will be sick and tired of hearing about this one, because frankly, the internet has gone insane with this game lately, where everybody is talking about it, everybody is going goo goo gaga, and in terms of the meme from Avatar, the series, where you've got that fangirl going, yay, yay, until she starts foaming at the mouth, that is essentially what is happening with this game. But I am still looking forward to it. I just chose to review it when it comes out, not in preview Kickstarter time, okay? And that is Galactic Cruise. Galactic Cruise still looks like a very fun game, and I am genuinely looking forward to this one because I have played Galactic Cruise. I played part of the game. I played part of it at Essen, and we had the board game wizard from Instagram doing the teaching. He was fantastic. He made the game really good, really fun, and flowed well. But this one has potential to be one of the best Euros of the year, I would admit. But still, it is a first-time publisher. It is still relatively new designers, and as much as it does have the kind of feeling of a Lacerda game without actually being a Lacerda, it's still got a lot of stuff going for it that I liked. I mean, it has a strong theme. It's got a lot of heavy mechanics. I like building up my cruise ship, deciding if I want like an extra kitchen or bedrooms or something like that, getting the various people into them, all these different bonuses that you can get. I mean, I think this is a pre-production version, so I know it's had some better stuff lately. I wonder if I can actually get a decent picture. I don't get this. When you take photos of a game, take photos of the game, not the people surrounding the game. I don't care who played it. I want to see the game. But I don't know, me rant there. But I'm trying to find, so you've got these different cruise ships that you can do. These go on different flight paths. You've got the different people when they're, it's got really cool thematic elements, like when they're flying on your cruise, depending on what type of person they are, they go shopping on the cruise and they give you like different benefits depending whether they're the shoppers or the ones who drink a lot. But it does look complicated, and it's not an easy game. I mean, there's definitely a lot going on here. I mean, you've got a cool action selection system. You've got ways to upgrade these actions. Yeah, this definitely has the bulk of a Lacerda game. But it still looks like a good amount of fun, and it was very fun from the rounds I played. But as I say, when they offered me a chance to preview this game, I said no, I want to wait until it comes out properly, fully finished, fully ready, then I'll review it, okay? 99% of the time, that is what I want to do. 1% of the time, I may cherry pick very specifically a game I'm willing to preview, but for the most part, I want to do it when it comes out. So as much as all the other usual candidates like Mark Dainty, Paul Grogan, and pretty much everybody else who does Kickstarter previews has gone goo goo gaga for this, I'm waiting till it comes out. So don't expect me to be generating tons of hype for this. I'm just getting, onto there. So for those who are not quite sure, so Yes, you are the supervisor for a company that does galactic cruises. You must build the shuttles, you must satisfy the guests, you must help the company thrive by enhancing your network and getting more technologies and stuff. And it's basically like worker placement with, a lot of forward planning and certainly a lot of stuff that requires some hefty thought. I mean, this says 3.92. That seems a bit high, but it's definitely in the high threes. I mean, this is on par with Lacerda games in terms of its complexity level. It certainly does have a lot going for it in terms of weight level. But some people have already brought up a couple of points here, and I certainly can't ignore these. Here we go. First one here. Those pledge levels for pricey. Yes, not gonna lie. The Kickstarter is a bit expensive for this game. I mean, it's going to be a big box. It's going to have Ian O'Toole's artwork. It's well produced by the looks of it. And they seem to have split off certain aspects and turned it into 2 expansions, which I'm not a fan of in practice. I think that's a little bit dodgy. But yeah, I looked at the prices and they're pretty high for this game. I mean, I want to review this I'll be reviewing it when it comes out, so I'll probably end up with a review copy of that stage, but I'm not, I would be like, oh god, yeah, this game does look pretty good, but those pledge levels are expensive. And again, this is why I'm not a fan of previewing games, because if I was to preview this, I would have to give it an opinion. I can't talk about a game without giving an opinion. It's just not me. So I'd have to give it a rating out of 10. And I'd worry that if I gave it a high rating, I would be basically saying to people, yeah, everybody, go pay this massive chunk of money on Kickstarter to go buy it. And then they get the game and then they don't like it. I feel like I don't feel comfortable doing that. That's why I don't like doing previews most of the time. Paul Grogan is singing the praises of Galactic Cruise. Yeah, he is. Although this is quite amusing, because barely a few months ago he was saying, Voidfall is the best game I've ever played. Okay, I've already done a review on Voidfall, so we'll gloss over that. But, all of a sudden he's now saying that this could potentially be his favourite game now. So it's like, well, that didn't take long to dethrone Voidfall for you, did it, Paul? It's like quite insane. Hashtag Luke Rants. Yep, there's always one of those in every video at least. Where do you go? Gotta take pictures of the people because they're having fun. Yes, they're having fun. I get it. I mean, are you going to take a picture of a game that's low rated on Board Game Geek with people looking like that? I mean, it's not going to happen, but still, it's just like when all the pictures are just the people. I want to find information about the game. That's why I use Board Game Geek, to find information. That's what I'm after. Love Luke's rants. Yeah, some people love them, some people hate them, but that's what I do. I do little mini rants. I'm willing to speak my honest thoughts about stuff, and if you don't like it, then why are you watching this channel? But here we go. Curious how heavy this one is. Looks great. Is it on Kickstarter now? Yes, it is, and boy, is it expensive. The theme? Yeah, the theme approach interested me in this. I mean, a big Euro where you're running a space cruise liner. The first thought I got was Fifth Element. That real cool classic cult film. Because in Fifth Element, they go onto that big cruise liner, don't they? In space, and it's got all the glamour stuff. Everybody's dressed up in weird stewardess outfits. I mean, cool blimey, it's not the most PC thing. If you were to release it this day, cool blimey, I can imagine a few women would take offense to some of the stuff in that movie. But it's over the top, and it's got that. I just had that image in my head of that was the Galactic Cruise Liner or something. And then you've also got like the Futurama one where they base it off the Titanic as a joke. Those sort of things came into my head, and I know the jokes are going to reign true on there. Wow, is that how much? Oh god, yeah, $90 for a base pledge. Not cheap, and that's $90 probably plus shipping and tax. You're talking a lot of money for the base of this. You want to get it all deluxeified and stuff, you better have saved up and paid your mortgage off by other means, I think. That is still cheaper than Rear Space Rise. I don't know what that is. Similar vibe to Kanban EV. It does have a bit of a similar vibe to Kanban EV, at least in terms of theme, although you're not trying to impress your boss. But Kanban EV is my favourite Lacerda game, so if that's the case, then works for me. Sorry, that is cheaper than a real space cruise. Well, I don't know. Have you been on one? So what was it? How much did it cost your last one? Let's see, Elon Musk, the board game. Where do you get that from? Okay, fine. How do these games have ratings already in BGG if it's not open in Kickstarter? Well, it is open. I mean, it is. People have played it. People have play tested it and stuff. Although, to be honest, if you trust the BGG rankings, then you're in a dream world, because we've already seen countless evidence where people like review bomb games, where they inflate it with 10s, and then you can see the comments, and it's like, I've rated this a 10 to balance out the 1s that are on this game. I mean, the ranking system on BGG is an absolute joke, and I frankly just do not trust it at all. So I couldn't care less what ratings people have given this game, or any game, ahead of time, because frankly, it means nothing until I've had a chance to play it and find out for myself. Here, one of the problems with BGG, one of many problems. I use it as an information database, but it is far from a robust system. It's really good. I did enjoy it for my play. That's why it's number 5 on my list. I will play this tonight, but I don't think it will dethrone Voidfall. What, are you playing it on TTS, or have you got a prototype of it? I can't remember. I know some people have got it. I do like my cruises. I just come back from a Netherlands cruise recently, a 5-nighter, which was a good de-stress scene. And when I had my 40th birthday later in in a month's time, I turned 40. One of the things that we tend to do is that, I get a little bit to go on holiday, like take a holiday somewhere. And obviously I will probably do a cruise, whether I go with friends or do a solo trip, I don't know. But yeah, I want to go somewhere a little bit further afield, not like Asia or something crazy like that, because that'll cost an arm and a leg. But I don't know, maybe to do a loop around the UK, or go back up to Norway with the fjords, or maybe do a fly cruise and do the other half in the Mediterranean, like Greece and Turkey and that. I mean, that would be pretty cool. Quite a few. Oh yeah, Doctor Who. Yeah, Doctor Who. What was it called? I forget what episode it was called, but yeah, they had the Space Titanic episode, which was actually alright for a Christmas special. They are a bit corny, and this one was definitely corny, but I enjoyed it. It had an emotional ending. It had some very nice side characters. It has probably one of his best quotes he's ever done, where he's like, I'm the Doctor, I'm a Time Lord, I'm 903 years old, and I'm going to save, I love that quote. It's just such a cool, like, yes, let's go type quote. But yeah, number 5, Galactic Cruise. I've said my piece. It looks pretty cool. Just don't expect any other thoughts from me until I've reviewed it, not previewed it. It's just the way I work. Okay, right, I need to actually check what my number 4 is, because I forgot. Yes, this one was a little bit higher, but I kind of docked it a couple of points because this one is a mild cheat. I have technically played this, and I've played it in its pretty much near finished situation, although it still wasn't fully developed at that time. I mentioned Peaker Studios earlier with Flow. This one is Fantasia Games. So again, we got a bit of Johnny Pack, we got a bit of Andrew Bosley here, but we've also got a little bit of Vincent Dutrait, which is kind of interesting, actually, that earlier on I had 2 games where we compared Andrew Bosley's artwork with Vincent Dutrait's artwork. Well, here we get both in the same game, which is Unconscious Mind. Unconscious Mind, I have technically played. Actually, I played a full game of this when it was still in production time, and then I've played part of a game in its nearly finished style. So I guess this one has, been one that I've had more experience with, but the stuff I've had with this has been really good. Like, I mean, it looks the business. The theme is great. The idea that you're like trying to cure patients of psychiatric illnesses, even though it is kind of abstracted with this whole like board of pearls that you have for the resource and that. Yeah, it's abstracted, but the theme is still cool. The components are fantastic. I mean, these wooden speech tokens, glass translucent beads everywhere. I love these ink pots. These ink pots are fantastic, but even the mechanics of this game I like. I mean, you've got this ink well that you move around this little track here, and as you move it around, you activate all these bonuses that you've acquired during the game, so you can kind of really customize your player board. The artwork is Andrew Bosley in terms of the dream world, and Vincent Dutrait in terms of the real world, and that's just such a clever idea to mix 2 artists who have 2 very different styles in that regard. The whole map bit in the movement, the map bit in the middle, that's probably the weak link of the game. It's the one bit where I'm like, yeah, I can take or leave it. I'm not that big a fussed of it. But if I can get some better pictures of, I mean, that's the center of the board. Yeah, here we go. So this board here with the worker placements and that. I love the idea that the speech bubbles you use are the worker spots, but you can see these different action spaces are accessible from multiple angles. So there's more than one way to activate an action. You could possibly do it twice in the same round, but of course, worker placement, other people are coming in, it's going to be a bit of a cluster battle there. And there's just a lot of stuff about this game that I like, as well as looking gorgeous. It felt smoother than a lot of heavier Euros I've played. It has a theme that's not relatable, but like, it's more interesting, even though there is an abstract to it. And of course, the artwork in this is absolutely gorgeous. But there were a couple of things that did worry me a little bit first. And even though, as was it Martin who said it? Yeah, so yeah, we played it together. We actually did play it together, and they have improved on it since then. Yes, they have. I mean, they did. The one I played at Essen definitely was an improvement. They fixed a couple of the rules, like the inkwell is now a bit more controllable, so it's a bit easier to mess around with that. It's not quite as loosey-goosey as before. They have streamlined a couple of elements, particularly from the curing of patients, although the patient curing is still the bit I'm a little bit worried about. Like, is that still going to be a little bit too fiddly? I don't know, but we'll see how things develop. But yeah, it's definitely improved over time, and I'm definitely excited for this. I haven't backed any of the, well, except for Stellaris, I haven't backed any of these Kickstarters because they're just too expensive. But I'm definitely like down for this. When it comes out, I'll be very keen to get this played. I think some friends of mine are going to really go for this. I think they're going to love the theme and the complexity of this. And I foresee this being a very popular game of the year. Like, you've got Galactic Cruise here and you've got Unconscious Mind here. I think these two are going to really tussle it out for like best Euro of the year. I think that's I mean, obviously we haven't had all the stuff coming out at Essen or anything like that announced yet, but if I'm going to place bets now, Unconscious Mind, Galactic Cruise, those two are going to be duking it out head to head, I think. What thoughts have people got on this one? What other comments have we got? Seeing Luke invited to BGG at Sea of the Mediterranean. Are they doing a Mediterranean cruise? I don't know, but I mean, I haven't wanted to do the Caribbean cruises, so I'm not that desperate to see the Caribbean, and it costs an arm and a leg to go to America, which is why I've not gone to any American conventions. What do we got? Yeah, the cover looks amazing. The intriguing box art. I mean, I love the mix of art styles in this. It's really cool. Are you going to take the plunge and go to Dice Tower East this year? I just can't afford it. It costs at least $1,000 just to go over to the States and stay in a hotel for these conventions. That's before you even pay for the convention, food, drink, games maybe, or like baggage stuff. And you've got to take a week off work minimum, because otherwise I can't justify a 9-hour flight. And then I've got to survive on a plane for 9 hours, which I think would like kill me stone dead. It just really would, have a go at me. So I do want to go to an American convention. I just can't easily do it. Right, I'm trying to... here we go. There we go. I'm trying to re-pour my coffee here. There we go. Urgh. Do love a nice bit of coffee, but I want to make sure it doesn't get too cold. Lovely, lovely decaf coffee. Okie doke. So I would love to go to Dice Tower East or PAX Unplugged. People tell me that's a really good one, but yeah, it's just really pricey. Let's see. I love the combination of art. Yep, same with that. Delayed, but yeah, this is definitely going to be anticipated for that. The artwork and components are certainly top notch. Believe me, the spaces can get fairly tight. So they will get blocked up, although maybe less so. I mean, it does depend on how you use the speech bubbles, because if you use the ones in the middle, they can go to 4 different actions. But obviously, if you plug up one of those spots, you're making life more difficult for the other action spots that other people might want. So there is a bit of tightness in here, but I think maybe that's going to make 4-player a bit more interesting. What was it? We French press too, but we use leaded coffee. Okay, leaded coffee. But I can see what you mean. So yeah, Unconscious Mind, it does look pretty sweet. And I at least have... This is probably the one on the list I've played... No, actually, I would say my number 1 I've played the most out of all of these, because most of these I haven't played or got barely information, but I have at least tried Galactic Cruise, I have at least played a game of Unconscious Mind, and I have played my number 1. But yeah, this one, it's not that much of a cheat, because they still had room to develop it. I just hope that they, stick the landing and make certain that it is all good. So, here's hoping that Unconscious Mind still remains as good as I remember it. All right, on to number 3. Boo-doot. Think of the memories, they are priceless. I don't end up getting too many memories. Like I say, I don't take a lot of photos of them out unless they're nature themed or scenery themed. But It would be cool. It would be cool to go to one of them, but like I say, can anybody lend me 1,500 quid and a spare week off work? I mean, it's not easy. It's not easy. All right, okay, so moving on to my free. So this one is, yeah, this one's kind of a shoe-in for the list, isn't it? Because a lot of the games from this publisher I have already in my collection. In fact, there is one underneath this leaves on this table, Geekason. I actually have a certain game that I am reviewing. I'm planning to review it, but I got it on Kickstarter because it was relatively cheap for it. Oh, I've noticed my battery is running low. How's that? Oh, one sec. I'm just going to plug the laptop battery in. Oh, just noticed. There we go. Right, that's better. Whew. I just realised that my laptop wasn't actually plugged in because I had the lights plugged in for the two reviews I just recorded, one for Last Light and one for World Wonders, and I realised I didn't actually swap the plugs back around, so that was almost a bit of a problem, the battery cutting out midstream. But yeah, so I have a game on my desk here, which I am currently playing. This probably gives you a bit of a clue as to which one I'm playing at the moment, and also which one I'm talking about here. Yes, I am talking about Inventors of the South, Tigris, which is basically the third in the Tigris trilogy for Garfield games. And yes, I know you might think it's a cop-out in a sense. It's like, oh look, another one. But to be honest, they've got a good track record of games, and a lot of the games I love. I mean, I own Architects, I own Raiders, I own Viscounts, I own Wayfarers, I have Scholars, I've got Shipwrights. As I said, Shipwrights is the one that I'm trying at the moment to see if it's any good. So naturally, sorry, there was a slight Wi-Fi glitch there, so hopefully that didn't intrude too much. But yeah, of course I'm going to be, interested in the third one. Now, I don't know much about this one. I mean, here we go. So I honestly could not care less about the theme of these games. They always base them on such weird parts of like history and that I'm just not that interested in. But let's gloss over the theme here. So you are eager to develop clever contraptions to impress their peers. The aim of Inventors is to be the player with the most victory points. Honestly, publishers, stop saying that the aim of your game is to get the most points at the end. I mean, of course. Of course it is. Points are primary gained by inventing, building, testing, and publishing devices. Players can also score points by training their craftspeople, developing their workshops, researching, and influencing the free guilds. There's always influencing free guilds in all these Tigris games, isn't there? Wayfarers had free guilds, Scholars had free guilds, now this one has free guilds. It sounds like you're kind of rinse and repeating the same thing on a theme perspective here, but this is the only picture that is on BGG. And I know pretty much nothing else about this. I think it's coming to Kickstarter later this month. Yeah, I think it's in a couple of weeks this is coming on Kickstarter. So we'll find out a bit more information there, no doubt. One thing Garfield Games, as much as I talk the praises of Garfield Games, they have already made it clear that they don't give me review copies because they are based in New Zealand, and posting from New Zealand to the UK pretty much requires you to remortgage your house in terms of cost, which is fair enough. I can kind of get behind that. But it does mean that I miss out on... I mean, this is actually the sort of game I would actually preview. I would actually try previewing these games because they've got such a good track record. But no, you're going to have to put up with other people previewing it for now. I'll just have to review it when it comes out on... when it eventually releases, which will probably be the end of this year, because I think the last time they did a Kickstarter, it happened in February, March, and then it released in about November, December time. So much like Scholars will be one of the last games I did of December 23, this will probably be the last game I do for December 24, so we'll see. But other than that, it uses dice, and it looks pretty sweet. But I know nothing else about it. This is pretty much going on the fact that the the original North Sea trilogy had a very bad Shipwrights game and a mediocre Explorers game. The the West Kingdom trilogy had a great Architects, great Viscounts. I liked Paladins okay at first, but it very quickly went down, and I actually regret giving it an 8 out of 10. I think I would actually rather give it a 5, 6 out of 10 now. I think I just I didn't notice the kinks in the armor until it was too late, unfortunately. But this one, Wayfarers, love it. It's my favorite one of the entire like Garfield games lineup so far. And Scholars I found pretty good as well. So they've got 2 solid games in this trilogy. Can they do free for free? That is what I'm hoping, because they haven't had a free for free for me yet, and I want this to be it. And if they can, great. I'll be able to own all 3 of these, and it will look really cool. So, you know, we'll see. But I know about as much as you do on, frankly, which is not a lot. Who froze Luke? Yeah, that was just the Wi-Fi glitch. Sorry about that. Viscount should get more love. It should get more love. I really like Viscounts with that little conveyor belt system of the different like townsfolk that you use. I mean, that's one thing I love about these Garfield games. They use those townsfolk cards in cool ways to specialize your game, to up your strategy, and I just think they work so well in all the Garfield games, basically, whether it's the crew in Raiders or the townsfolk craftsmen in Architects, the Viscounts conveyor belt, Wayfarers, you can get the townsfolk as well. I just think it works. Architects is my jam. Love sending opponents to jail. Yeah, the Architects has got that really cool interactive mechanic. I do like that as well. Really looking forward to Inventors. Makes sense to wait review versus preview, more comprehensive and less unfinished. Exactly. That's the way I work. I'm not trying to generate hype for a game. I'm trying to give you my honest thoughts when the game is out, and then you can make up your own minds as to whether you want to buy it or not. But I got to give you the pros and cons first. And publishers are not that keen to have you give pros and cons about, well, they're keen to have you give pros, but they're not keen on you giving cons about a game when you're trying to sell it on Kickstarter. I mean, that is why I don't like preview videos, period, from other creators, in fact, because I'm just like, you basically are doing an advert for the game. So how can I trust that this is legit? If it's an advert, it's there to sell a game. It's there to generate hype, and there are some channels that literally make a living out of it, and I just don't go for it. Okay, what do we got to... I have to try out this series. Luke has some praises about this game, and I like lineup so far. Oh, have you not tried any of Garfield games? Or none of this Tigris series? Oh, you got to at least try some of the ones in this series. They are pretty sweet. By all means, try one out. You enjoyed Raiders? By all means, would you try Scholars or Wayfarers first? I try Wayfarers first. That is my favourite of the 2. What's your opinion of the Wayfarers solo? There were discussions about the card offer stagnating. There is that. I do prefer to play Wayfarers multiplayer, but I do like it solo as well because I get to do all the cool tableau building in that. What I have tried, though, is house ruling the card offer. So yes, the card offer could stagnate. All you've got to do is do a system where every time you rest, take off the end card. That's what I tend to do. So you control when the card offers are going to go away, but as soon as I decide I want to rest, take off a card, or maybe even take off 2 cards, take off half the row, or maybe even better still, I haven't tried it, but I might try it next time, refresh all the cards, like all the cards refresh as soon as you rest. Maybe that's a bit overkill, but certainly at least 2 cards from each row should refresh every time you rest, and that usually gets past that issue. Is this trilogy worth checking? I've heard some mixed stuff on the first 2 games. I don't know. I've tended to hear a lot of good stuff about Wayfarers, although they do talk about the solo. Scholars I enjoyed. I mean, I think it's pretty solid as well. They're both really good games. Scholars is probably below the likes of Architects and Viscounts for me, and certainly below Wayfarers, but Wayfarers is my favourite so far. I love it. Did it get less hard for you the more you played? I don't know. The AI is again the weak link of the Wayfarer solo because it is quite hard and it's just basically getting stuff for free. So I don't tend to play Wayfarer solo. It's not the best solo mode compared to some of the other games that do better. Have I played the Circadians? I did play Circadians First Light. I thought it was fine, but I didn't really get a huge amount from it. It was different. It was okay, but I didn't really get into it. It had a lot of downtime, and it did take a while. It was a bit more fiddly than I would have liked. Did the second edition improve it? I don't know. I never played it. Shipwrights in the North Sea Redux. Well, that's the thing that I am currently playing for. I'm sort of halfway through my first game. First game? Yeah, first game. And I'm going to be playing it a bit more tomorrow, so I'll give it the beans over time. I'm not as keen to play this one multiplayer, I must admit, because as I read the rules are basically just multiplayer solitaire. And I kid you not, the rulebook literally doesn't have a separate section for solo mode. It literally explains the few tweaks that solo mode has in the game throughout the main body of rules. When the game does that, you know that it's pretty much just a solo multiplayer game. And so I've got to try this with people to see how it goes, but I can see this one basically just being a solo game for me. But we'll see if it's any good. Well, none from this designer, don't know where to start. Raiders of the North Sea, Architects of the West Kingdom. Start with one of those two, guaranteed. They are definitely the two best entry points into Garfield Games series. So yeah, I'm keen on it. It's 10 past 7. I'm going to go to the cinema at 8 o'clock, so I better get a move on. But yeah, I don't know much else about Inventors, but their track record is so good, and I'm hopeful for free that this one might just be able to do it. So come on, Garfield Games, stick the landing. Okie doke, man, number 2. Yes, this one is a game that, remember I said 99% of the time I don't want to preview games? This may be the 1% for 2024 where I'm actually keen to preview this game. They have asked me to preview it when they get more information on it, and I'm definitely down for giving this one a look. But that is only because I adore the other game that this publisher has done so much. And I purposely didn't show a couple of comments earlier because one of two of you have mentioned this already, particularly when talking about another game, and I had to basically sort of go, let's not talk about that right now because I need to actually talk about it later. This game is called World Order. This is the other new game coming out eventually from Hegemonic Project Games. Yes, this is the sequel game to Hegemony. And you already know I love Hegemony. Oh my god. So I love Hegemony to bits. Certainly I'm going to be excited for, any other game that they do. But I gotta be a little bit careful here because I know very little about this. In fact, all I know about this game is what's written on this page. Because that's all there is. There's no images. The image is the box. That's all it is. It is just literally that. But the fact that Hegemony was so fantastic automatically propels this one up. Because I'm like, oh man, if you manage to surprise me like hell with Hegemony, what could you do with another game? That's what I want to see. This one certainly looks shorter. 90 to 120 minutes. This is going to be easier to get to the table than the others. What kind of worries me a little bit with this one, though, is the mechanic of it. So basically what we got, the year is 2010, drastically changing world. Major powers are eagerly stepping onto the stage, ready to claim their piece of the geopolitical pile. You got Beijing, Moscow, Washington, and European Union. So it's going to have 4 asymmetric factions again, which again was one of the fantastic things about Hegemony. But here we go. So the board game World Order simulates modern international relations with players taking control of one of the 4 dominant global powers. Utilize your diplomatic power, economic strength, and military might to expand your influence across the globe. Form alliances, entice other nations through economic dependencies, or become the military juggernaut. Blends academic theories with thrilling gameplay, creating a never-before-seen experience of international relations. That thematically sounds absolutely fantastic. But I've heard that there's an element of area control in this. Area control is not a mechanic that I tend to go mad for. Some games do it well, but it's not a mechanic I get excited for. Now, maybe that will change. This is still early development. There's every chance this won't even release in 24. It's on here as 2024, but will it actually release in 24? I don't know. This actually might go on to 25 at this rate. So I don't know what this one's going to be like, but man, if the area control is done well, then great, that gets over that fear. But the economics, the diplomacy side, sorry, throat is drying up like crazy. That's better. So, yeah, really interested to see what they do. This one is, based on how much I love Hegemony so much, I'm definitely excited for this one, but yeah, I don't really know much more than that, so I can't really say anything else on the subject, but Hegemony was so good that, of course, I'm going to be excited for this one. But one game has beaten it, so we'll see in a minute what that is. But let's have a look at the comments. So, what have we got here? I'm excited to see what they come up with. Yep, definitely. Hegemony, but UN scale, maybe, but it did only say about 2 hours, so I don't think this is going to be quite as involved and complex as Hegemony is. But I don't need them to make another one like Hegemony. They can do something different, but still utilize the 4 asymmetric factions well. So it's definitely going to have the idea. I mean, they've changed from country politics to world politics, as John says, so kind of works. Interested to see what gameplay is like if it's area control mixed with economics and diplomacy. Here's hoping. That sounds pretty good to me. So, which game has got me more excited than this one? Well, you're about to find out. This one, you could argue, is a bit of a cheat because, well, it kind of is, because all the other games on this list, at most, I've played a demo game or I've played a full game in pre-production. This one I did play technically during its development, so changes will have happened since, but I have played at least a good couple of chapters from this campaign game. Yes, this is I don't normally get excited for campaign games because campaigns are like, oh god, I've got to commit to this game for so long. Oh, I don't have time. Woe is me. And, that kind of thing does get on my nerves. But I have played 2 chapters of this. I even did a preview of this game. This was one of my 1%ers for 2022, I think, when I did a preview of this game, because I'd already played the predecessor to this game. So I already knew I was probably going to like it, but I wanted to see how it improved. That one for me is, of course, probably the most thematic, story-rich, immersive experience I've had in a campaign game outside of a bolt-on thing to this war of mine. But this one, Tainted Grail, Kings of Ruin, oh, definitely. This one I am definitely excited for, and I think this is starting to fulfill in America, so I'm hopeful that it's going to start fulfilling in the European Union and hopefully the UK soon, although the UK certainly takes a while to get everything. Thank you, Brexit, for ruining our lives. But, this one I've played. I already know I'm going to like it because I've played 2 chapters. But I'm definitely keen to get more of this played. A standalone story campaign from the team behind the Tainted Grail board game. There we go. Set in the same universe. New set of characters. Continues the stories of the Fall of Avalon. Those DLC, the expansion content that I've all played through. I've played through all 3 of them. Self-contained entry though, so you can just get started with this one, and I probably actually recommend you do, frankly, because it will have the new rules implemented. Yes, they are doing a 2.0 upgrade for the first set, but I think it would just be easier if you just jumped into this one. But here you go, new land, a new change system of traveling through the wordness, which I can verify is a lot better than in the first one. Solve encounters. Last time, you solved it mostly with force rather than diplomacy. Hopefully they improve on the diplomacy front, because I still wasn't convinced they had, but we'll see how development has gone. Develop your heroes and dark immersive story and these big boss characters that you come across. Oh man, I don't want to spoil too much from the 2 chapters, but Tainted Grail looks gorgeous on the table. I love this gritty Arthurian theme. As a setting, it is brilliant. The writing in this is so good. It is novel, wordy writing. This is Game of Thrones level writing they have in this game. I mean, it is really, really good, really immersive, and it kicks you into this dark, gritty world where nothing is all hunky-dory, shiny, and rainbows. I mean, you got everybody out there being all hyper positive about everything, like everything is awesome, this game's going to be amazing, best of the year. I feel like if I put them into this world, they would have a heart attack. This is more my world. This is more how I see the world. It's all pretty dismal and there's stuff happening. I mean, the first thing that was it, Sylvester Stallone's quote was it, the world ain't all sunshine and rainbows. It's a mean and nasty place. Yeah, that's kind of accurate, frankly, and that's what this place is. It is far from sunshine and rainbows. It is mean and nasty, but it sounds good. Well, it doesn't sound. I've played it. It does play a lot. It does play better than the first edition. So the 2.0 changes so far have been really good. But this is one of those campaign games that I get behind. It's one of the ones where I'm like, okay, this is the one that I'm going to put my stock behind, you know, because I don't want to play a lot of campaign games because you got to commit so much time to them. But this one, Tainted Grail, just does it so well. I can't say enough praises about it. I've done a preview video of this, so by all means check out my video for that. I think it was 2022, so check out more detailed thoughts there. But, you know, I don't know if I reviewed Tainted Grail, but that's an old video if I did, so you can check out that one if you want to see me in old school form. But yeah, I definitely previewed this, so by all means take a look. But yeah, I'm excited. You know, when it comes through, I'm going to be eager to get that one started and played. A nice solo campaign of Tainted Grail 2. Cannot wait. All right, what have we got on there? So, hello, Stacy. That's fine. Don't worry about being on time. I mean, I was surprised I was even breaking 100 people watching at this point because I thought everyone was just going to be out watching Dune, like I will be in about 3/4 an hour's time. Why am I watching that movie? I didn't even like the first one, but it was £5 a ticket. I just figured, why not? Let's complete the story. Okay, you sound well. My throat is drying up a bit, but it's not that sore anymore. This acid reflux diet I'm on is working. I have noticed positive changes in my health from an acid reflux standpoint, but I have had the odd sniffles and cold lately, so yeah, it is that sort of time. There's a few bugs going around in the UK at the moment. I have Fall of Avalon, but still need to play it. Fine time. Although, won't be too long before you can get the 2.0 rules update. So maybe be patient, wait for those 2.0 update rules, and then play it. That could work. And what have we got? Setting is meh, not for me. Fair enough, strokes for folks, but man, this setting's great. Gritty, dark Arthurian legends. I mean, what more do you want? Dragons, I guess. How many people did you play with when you previewed? Solo. It was entirely a solo game. I played Tainted Grail fully solo. I mean, it's like most campaign story-driven games. You can play it with other people, but it's going to take loads of time. You've got to commit with the same people, which I can't easily do. I've only got one group that I can do that with, and we tend to play lighter games, so that's not going to happen. And I just wanted to go through this solo, so this is definitely a solo game for me. You can play two-handed. Two-handed works fine. In fact, I think I did preview this two-handed. Yes, I played through two-handed solo. So, yeah, it worked for me. So, yeah, solo but with two characters. And honestly, I mean, I played through the original Tainted Grail true solo. I think I might actually play it two-handed in the future. I think two-handed just works a little bit better. You know, you can kind of make up for the weaknesses of one character with the strengths of the other. Okay, what have we got? I assume you can already put Lands of Evershade on your most anticipated... Lands of Evershade. We'll come back to that one in a minute. Keep that one on hold, Andreas. Nemesis Retaliation. Well, like I said, we'll come back to that in a minute. I just want to finish off this a little bit. I will need to rewatch this video. Peeking back, you covered a lot of good games. Hopefully. My number one for the year is a TCG called Altered. Never heard of it, and I'm done with TCGs. The collectible card game format, no. It's an outdated format. It doesn't work now. Talking other anticipated games this year, giving you a love of Cascadia. Any thoughts on the new ones? Okay, so I think we're done with Tainted Grail. So yeah. Okay, so that is my top 10 anticipated games. Granted, 9 and 10 were a little bit worrisome. They weren't amazing, but I found 8 games I'm genuinely looking forward to. You know, this is an overall positive list, all you naysayers out there. You know, I am trying to do some... Well, no, I do positive stuff, okay? I don't just rant and do, like, negative stuff, okay? I do positive as well. I balance it pretty well, I seem to think, but everybody just ignores all the positive stuff, all the 10 out of 10 ratings of the past and stuff. It's like, come on. It's just, I do both. A lot of people don't do any criticism or negative stuff. That's why it's jarring to some people, but, oh well, I digress. So, here we're going at. What's that? Don't be mean to dragons. I love you're way too cheeky today. Yeah, I'm definitely cheeky. I've had like a couple of things happen lately where I'm just starting to roll my eyes that the internet is just so biased, or, you know, so prone to easily being offended, or, you know, or like everything, like you can't criticize anything because you get hounded for it. And I'm just like, I'm starting to get to the point where I just cannot be bothered to try and fight it. It's like, you know, look, this is how I am. Deal with it, kind of thing. But that's just the way it is. So yeah, that is my top 10 games. So now Let's see, I don't have to go to the cinema until at least 8 o'clock. Only takes me about 10 minutes to get there. So, as I empty the last of this somewhat lukewarm coffee into my mug, how about some of you come up with some games that I haven't mentioned that you feel I should have? So, games that you're looking forward to in 24 that I haven't mentioned. I'll have a brief look and give some thoughts. So this is the time where the audience can get involved now. Man screams at cloud. Yeah, I've seen that meme. In fact, I've actually used that meme in a couple of my videos because, you know, I rant, I criticize a lot. You know, I'm a very opinionated person. I will tell it how it is. I'm honest about it. But yeah, I can poke fun at myself just like everybody else. So you can't, you know, it's one of those things. You can't do this kind of stuff if you're not willing to poke fun at yourself as well. You know, you've got to be willing to take, again, going back to the Sylvester Stallone quote, if you know what you're worth, you go out and get what you're worth, but you got to be willing to take the hits. You got to take the hits as well. Okay, so let's have a look. So some people mentioned other games. What have we got? Let's go back. So this is 2025 technically, but we'll go back to this. So Lands of Evershade. Never heard of this one. Lands of Evershade. Hybrid RPG board game combines storytelling, tactical... Okay, I mean, that's a good start. Never heard of this. Wow. I mean, that's a good cover. Is that the only picture we got? Is there no other picture? Well, to be fair, actually, this is a 2025 game. What am I expecting? 90 to 270 minutes. Blimey, this is going to take a while. So what have we got here? 1 to 5 players... Open world adventures without a dungeon master. Build your character. Player's handbook. So this is basically an RPG in a game plan. But hang on. Multiple standalone story modules and scenarios in the order of your choice to create a campaign. I wish it wasn't a campaign. I wish you could just do a bunch of, like just one module at a time. Because this one says you can combine to create your own campaign. I know it says standalone. But if it's telling you can combine them, you're going to want to combine them, aren't you? But... I know nothing about this setting. I know nothing about this game. We'll cross that bridge for 2025, but it's Awakened Realms, so chances are it will be something I enjoy. Nemesis Retaliation, I mean, that's going to be a 2025 game as well, I believe. So, and honestly, I mean, I did get the whole collection for Nemesis and Nemesis Lockdown. You know, I was like, you know, it's got its problems. I have some issues with the game, but I grabbed it and then I sold it. Why did I buy it in the first place? Nemesis has some problems. This one kind of looks like it's going to be a take on Aliens. You know, so actually going in with Marines and trying to kill stuff. It sounds cool on paper. I'm definitely here to see if they, you know, improve on the Nemesis formula. Like, can they make it a bit less swingy, a bit less random? You know, maybe take a bit of the... streamline it a bit. So we'll see. I'm interested in this one, but I'm not exactly going goo goo gaga for it. Okay, what else we got? It's Cascadia. Any thoughts on the new Rolling Rivers, Rolling Prairies game? I could not care less. I really don't. I mean, this is exactly what... where is it? Rolling... I mean, look at this. Yeah, I've literally just opened up, typed in rolling. Look how many games appear as soon as I type in the word rolling. This is how, like, tired this is. But, what was it? Rolling River. Yeah, Cascadia Rolling River. So, 2 games that are basically just roll and writes. I'm done with roll and writes. This is a tired genre. Can we put this genre to bed now? But the other thing that works with, that I'm not a fan of, I mean, yeah, the picture is gorgeous. I want that picture on my wall. Cascadia's got fantastic artwork, okay? And Cascadia is a brilliant game. It is one of the best gateway games that has happened in the last 5 years. You know, it definitely deserves the credit that it's got. But I am done with this. I mean, you know, the previews that I'm seeing of this are just basically going, ooh, it's rolling right. I love rolling dice and writing stuff, and it looks so pretty. And it's like, I don't care, you know, because... roll and writes are the same thing. Rarely does anybody come out with a unique roll and write. And also, the thing that publishers are doing these days is that they make a game and it ends up being a massive success. But what happens is as soon as they go, it's a massive success, it's like, well, we could create another brand new game, but, you know, that's not guaranteed money. We need a way to make money. So why don't we capitalize on the IP of a game that we already know is successful, but we don't want to put in as much effort? Ding! Rolling right. And this one's got 2 of them. I mean, they're making 2 of these. There's Rolling Rivers and Rolling... what was it? Yeah, Rolling Prairies. So they've just done 2 versions. I mean, I don't know if it's the same game or it's just, slightly different game. I don't know. But again, it just feels like this is like a way to cash grab on the IP. Let's do something that doesn't require as much effort. But because it has the word Cascadia in the title, it's going to be popular. Ah, well. Okay, what else have we got? Mistwind or Dragon Eclipse. Don't know either of those games. Mistwind? Are you sure you didn't mean Mythwind? Oh no, Mistwind. Okay, let's have a look. Interesting looking cover. Build efficient trade networks with your transport whales and outposts. I mean, that theme doesn't exactly win me over at first until you mentioned transport whales. I mean, what's this picture? God, it literally is a transport whale. It reminds me of the, it reminds me of that, what do they call it in Avatar? What's that big fluffy creature that Aang rides around on again? I forget, but it kind of reminds me of that. 2 to 5 players, unknown developer, unknown designer for me. Actually, I don't know. Daryl Andrews rings a bell. Strategic game of building networks and meeting the demands of each nation. Gain resources, build outposts, train whales. Hand of action discs. You must choose one to discard and not use for the round. Okay, that's a cool mechanic. I do like that. It definitely is a reasonable looker. I mean, the board is a little bit bland with the sepia tone, but, I mean, could be interesting. I know pretty much nothing about this one, but is it going to be is it just going to be a typical Euro theme, but with a pretty aesthetic on it? I don't know. Okay, what else we got? Dragon Eclipse. That rings a bell. Dragon Eclipse. Dragon Eclipse, yeah. Oh, this cover. Yeah, I've seen this around. Awaken Realms again. Oh, yeah, I just haven't really paid much attention to Kickstarters lately, or ones on there. This was it. I mean, 1 to 2 players. I don't get 2-player games to the table often, so this would be a solo-only thing. And it just didn't really mention much about it. I mean, a magical world of mythical beasts and ancient dragons. Here we go, the same trope again. Immersive world, majestic and unique creatures. You can battle, tame, catch, and train. So what is this, like the grittier version of Pokemon in Power World? Each creature has a unique deck of cards, offering endless tactical possibilities. Could be fun, but I really haven't paid much attention to this one. This is 2024 though, okay. You're not ruffing feathers until you've been banned from BGG at least once. Nice one, Glover. Although, I don't think I have. No, I don't think I have been banned from BGG ever. Which is surprising, given how much I rag on their ratings. What do we got? Pencil first. Sunrise at the Studio, but also the solo-only game Snowfall Over Mountains. I do like their stuff, but I've not heard of this one. Snowfall Over Mountains. Hang on. There we go. Alright, so 20 minutes. Eduardo Barth again. Scott Caputo. Ooh, Scott Caputo does things like Whistle Mountain and Whistle Stop, and he's done some other good games, so that's a good sign. Explore the mountains, connect tiles, arrange animal tracks, ponds, trees. I mean, this is probably going to be a fairly abstracted theme, but it's going to look pretty. Yeah, it does look pretty. It's going to be a pleasant game, I suspect. Fairly simple rules. Looks interesting. They're putting the tiles together. Oh, kind of like dominoes. Okay, this could be interesting. Hang on. Sorry, yeah, the throat is really drying up. But, yeah, I mean, this does look interesting. Yeah, good. Yeah, maybe this would have been on the list. This might have kicked my number 10 off. But I don't know. I mean, their games don't, like, blow me away, but they are good fun, and they are great. I mean, I like Delicious. Floriferous is fantastic, as you mentioned. Herbaceous is a nice game. Sunset Over Water is a nice game. They're just doing a good job at the moment, making these light games, so maybe they'll continue. Let's see. The Presence, a 1 versus many game about one person playing a ghost and other players playing characters in a haunted house. 2025, but still. Okay, let's have a look. Very quickly, because I do need to get on in a minute, because I need to timestamp this and get going. Trust, Tragedy, and the Unknown. So a strategic horror game, fully cooperative or 1 versus all. Only you have no way of knowing which one. Okay, cool. So a bit of social deduction with a cool theme. there's not much I can really spend time on this right now, and it is well, it does say 2024 on here. So you said 2025. This says 24. Maybe it's going to come out sooner than you think. But when more information is out, I'll give this one a look. What have we got? Colosseum. In Colosseum, I like it, but the problem with Colosseum is that you have to forward plan so much in the game. It causes a lot of AP, and it's been more fiddly than it's worth, particularly when it's a roll and move game in some respects. Will they redesign it to be better in this version? I don't know, but I'm not exactly gunning for it. Okay, what have we got? Merchants of Magic expansions. I mean, there's loads of expansions I'm looking forward to, Sentinels and stuff like that. I'm not desperate looking at those, though. I've not played Death May Die. I've not played the Final Girls. I mean, I've sold my collection of Hostage Negotiator. I'm not that interested in Final Girl, so I'm not desperate on those. Arcs from Leader Games. Arcs. What do we got here? I would say stop putting more suggestions in the chat because I am probably going to have to wrap this up in a minute. Arcs, I barely looked at this one. I mean, the thing is, Leader Games gave me Fort, which I really love. But they also gave me Root, which I was kind of meh on. So, will this be as good? I mean, what have we got? You've got objectives. I like multi-use cards. That's cool. I do like that. 2 to 4 players. Galactic Struggle. Amass your navy. So this is going to be like a little spacey game then, I guess. Is this going to be asymmetric factions like the other one where you got to learn 4 different games? No, this looks pretty simple. Fairly straightforward. Not the best in components, but this could be pre-production copy. I don't know. Could be interesting. I don't know. But don't know much more on this. But yeah, Fort is not enough for me to get excited about Leader Games stuff. The Evolution Ocean series. They're doing a new iteration called Nature. Evolutions and Oceans were okay, but they weren't balanced. You know, certain, like going carnivore was usually better than going herbivore in some of those games. They dragged on a long time. They weren't short enough for my liking. They were fine, but I'm not going to get that excited over a new series unless they've really changed stuff. Kavango, a bit of a cross between Seven Wonders and Ark Nova. Okay, let's have a look at that one briefly. Kavango. Oh, okay. Not the best cover. The cover looks a little bit basic, although publisher is definitely a new time publisher, so it's not going to be mans of like component quality. 40 to 60 minutes, 1 to 5 players, 3 rounds of simultaneous curse and card drafting. That's cool. You must complete research tasks to earn money to invest in the haven for vulnerable and endangered animals. Okay, I like a nature theme. Created by Matt and Zara while working on conservation in Botswana. Deeply thematic and thoughtfully designed to be a realistic view of conservation. 160 species cards, 45 research, huge variety. Okay, I mean, the artwork, I mean, it definitely looks like it's built on a budget. That is the only thing. This is definitely going to be like an indie game through and through. Well, actually, that doesn't look too bad. Will it be any good? I don't know, but it's nature themed. It's got a nice setting to it, and I like Seven Wonders style card drafting. So, yeah, I mean, we'll put this in we'll put this as my 11, you know, or put this in my top 15 or something. I think I'd better sort of call a day on it actually, because I need to get going soon, and I still need to timestamp this video, which takes a good 10 minutes in itself. So, yeah, people have mentioned what have we got? Bardwood Grove, Primal the Awakening, Creature Caravan, Wondrous Creatures, Kavango. There's some other thoughts of Kavango, actually. Okay, you know, more people are saying Kavango. So, yeah, we'll make Kavango my honorary number 11. I reckon that does look pretty interesting. So, Sky Bison, Ascendancy. I'm not that interested in Andromeda's Edge. That's the sequel to Dwellings of Eldervale, isn't it? And Dwellings of Eldervale, I liked it first, but the kinks in the armor did show, and I just sold it after a while because I couldn't be bothered to get it out with that massive box and all the setup and everything. It was too much. Mordred, oh god, no, that game does not look interesting. I mean, the cover on Mordred looks abysmal. Absolutely hate it. Reprint of Puerto Rico. Not interested. Puerto Rico is a fine game, but remember the recent reprint that came out? The one where they changed up certain aspects and how much of a complete mess up that was? Yeah, I'm not exactly gunning for another attempt at this. And honestly, if Awakened Realm, it doesn't need to be that well produced. I mean, I don't even like Castles of Burgundy, and yet that one had got blown up to a stupidly expensive, overproduced one. Why Puerto Rico? I can think of better Euro games that I'd rather see, brought in. Really enjoyed. You're one of my favorite YouTubers. Love the opinions and the rants. Well, thank you very much, Felix. I appreciate it. Anyway, that's it for now. I'm going to timestamp this video, and then I'm going to head over to the cinema and sit tight for 2 hours and 3/4 to see if I can enjoy this Dune movie more than the previous one. The previous one was clearly setting up a lot, which is why nothing happens in it. But this one is now got to wrap up this story arc, as far as I'm aware, because I've not watched anything Dune related before watching these movies. I don't know the books. I don't know the original series. I never watched the David Lynch versions. Literally the only Dune lore I know is what people tell me when I've played certain Dune board games like Dune Imperium or Dune the actual board game. So yeah, I'm like very, very much a noob on this, but I'm hoping that even though this isn't a long film, that they hurry up and get on with it, get to the plot, get to the action, and give me something cool to look at. I don't know, but rather than just panning shots of deserts. I don't know, but we'll see. Anyways, thanks for joining me on this stream, so hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for your thoughts. I'll see you on the next one. Next one I do live will probably be top 10 regrets. This is a Patreon voted stream where I talk about reviews and content that I've done that I actually regret doing. Like maybe the rating was too high, maybe it was too low, perhaps the content didn't work. This is a chance for you to get to know my thought processes for the content I do. So this is not so much a top 10 games list. It will be kind of like an interesting, just a behind the scenes style top 10. It'll be something a little bit more unique, but that's for another time. So take care, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye. Love you all. Remember, it's only a game, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, everybody.